Hey everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. Well, what transforms a so-so gathering into a garden party your friends will remember for a long time? It doesn't have to cost a fortune. Your garden does not have to be picture perfect to put on a wonderful event. So today I'm going to be sharing with you all my top 5 secrets for hosting a beautiful garden party. I'll show you how to create excitement around your event before your guests even arrive, and some of the thoughtful touches that you can include that they're never going to forget. So if you are ready or have considered hosting your own garden party, let's get started. Over the past, I have hosted garden parties for as many as 40 people, and today a small group of just 6. And I do have to give you a little inside scoop on my guests today. So I have a group of girlfriends that we met our freshman year at the University of Missouri, and we have been fast friends for well over 40 years, and we love to get together. We travel together, and today I've invited them to come to my house here in mid-Missouri for a garden party. So I could not be more excited to have them here. A small intimate gathering where we can, catch up on our lives, but also enjoy what's happening in the garden. I've learned a few things along the way of hosting lots of different garden tours and garden parties, and so we're going to get started today, and let's go through those 5 top tips. So tip 1, creating your invitation. You do want to spend a little time creating a pretty invitation for your garden party on Canva or another free software program. And you can send them electronically, or you can choose to print and send paper versions in the mail. In fact, sometimes paper invitations are really nice because it just is something that people don't do very often, and sometimes that can make it feel a little special. This can really create a lot of excitement and anticipation. Of course, you're going to include the basics of when, where, and all of that kind of stuff, but I like to let my guests know what they can expect in terms of food and beverages, and also the fact that this isn't just a party where we're going to eat and drink and chat, but we're going to play some games and do some really fun garden-related activities. Tip number 2, really do something special with your food and your beverages. So I have slowed down the video I took of the table setting so that you could see the kinds of things I chose to serve. And remember, this party was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so my guests knew I was just going to be serving some snacks, not a full meal, and so that gets their anticipation going for wondering what I might be making. And as you can see here, I have a mixture of things I personally made myself and things I purchased at the store. I happen to love to bake scones and have done that for years, so I baked some lavender white chocolate chip scones, some chocolate pecan scones, a beautiful fresh fruit salad, but I did purchase some macarons, some chocolate covered pretzels, and of course some nuts. So some light nibbles can go a long way. It doesn't have to be a full-on meal, and these are things that make it extra special because they know that I happen to love to cook, and I host a lot of dinner parties, so I had to include some homemade things, but you don't have to. Well, you can't host a garden party without giving them something nice, cold, and refreshing to drink, and it's important to know your guest. And all of my guests that I've known for many years love wine, and they really appreciate things like Prosecco. So here are the little wine charms with garden-related attachments. So we've got our little wine glasses there, and then I just filled a big bucket with ice and put my Prosecco bottles down in there so they could stay icy cold, so people could actually serve themselves. And I thought I would add a few things to the list. So if they wanted to just have Prosecco with some additions, limoncello, when you put that with Prosecco, it becomes what they call a sparkler. And then if you put peach nectar in with your Prosecco, it is a Bellini. And then a signature cocktail, and you're seeing here my fresh white peach sangria with mint from the garden. Always have non-alcoholic options, and nothing says summer more than really cold, refreshing iced tea. And we want to keep water on hand for hydration, especially when we're doing the garden tour. Tip number 3 is really paying attention to decor. How are you going to decorate the area? And so you can see here my table setting is full of florals. The runner, the napkins, I've got some beautiful white roses on the table. You know, I kept it pretty simple, blue and white. I happen to love that. That's in a lot of my home in terms of decor. But I amped it up a little bit. I pulled out my candelabra. I mean, how many times do you go somewhere and sit and enjoy some snacks and drinks with a candelabra in the center? It just adds a little sparkle and just makes it special and makes your guests feel like, wow, she really took the time to create a beautiful, beautiful atmosphere. Even things like the place cards you might see there at each table setting. I've got place cards for the ladies with their names and, of course, another bit of floral. I didn't put a lot of color on the table except for the beautiful fruit and some of the other snacks in terms of the pastries I made and some of the pastries I bought. Do you have to do this? No, there are so many wonderful garden related paper products. If you don't want to wash china, crystal, silver, and all of that, and I don't blame you if that's not your jam, you can find so many things online where you can create a beautiful tablescape using all paper products. But the main point here is, of course, just make it special. Let's continue to talk a little bit more about decor. Having a garden party means you have to have lots of flowers or greenery in your house, right? To surround your guests. And so you're going to notice here that a lot of the things in this video were from my own garden, but many things I actually had to buy. I bought these flowers because my cut flowers aren't ready yet in my garden. But here you're seeing some pretty floral fans that I purchased online. These are performing triple duty. One, you can use these as decor. You can use them as I did in a practical way. My guests could use those fans as we strolled the garden. And lastly, they make wonderful, wonderful party favors. So each of my guests got to not only use their fan, but take it home and remember the party. Tip number 4 is all about activities. Let's start with the first activity I invited my guests to do after they had a beverage in their hands. I invited them into my home office where I have some dahlia pictures on one of my walls, and I created this beautiful frame, floral frame, out of an old antique mirror. And in fact, I just removed the mirror for the party, but I will put the mirror back in, and it's hanging up in one of our guest bedrooms. And I just hot glued some silk flowers to each corner, and that just was so much fun to capture the images of all of my sweet guests and for them to be able to also have those images to take home or to post on social media. It was a good touch. All right, another activity I had created for the gals is a scavenger hunt through the garden. And what I did was I gave them a basic garden tour first, and then I left them with this pop quiz to take, which is basically a scavenger hunt, 9 different things that they had to answer. And so they could go off in pairs and take a really close look at what they had already seen on the tour and make their guesses. And then when they returned back into the house and we got cooled off, I was able to check their work and award a prize to the person that got the most questions correct. So if you're going to invite your friends to play some games at your garden party, you need to have prizes for the winners. And here Lori is the winner of that scavenger hunt. I knew I was having the party, of course, a long time ago, and so I started just one Super Petunia pink tiara in a pot. That's one plant, guys, in a 10-inch pot, and it's been growing for about 5 weeks, and so, ooh, way bigger than her, but boy, was that a great prize. One of the main activities, of course, was the garden tour, and here my girlfriends are headed off towards the raised bed garden. I'm following behind with the camera. I didn't want to invade their privacy too much. So anyhow, it was really great of them to be such good sports because we had to dodge some raindrops today, and then the sun came out, of course, and then it turned hot and humid, but they were wonderful and so inquisitive. I was able to show them lots of things that they had never seen growing in a garden before. Some of them have experience growing veggies, but a lot of them are more into florals and perennials and those kinds of things. So it really was a fun tour. The final stop on the tour was our 2-acre pollinator habitat, our wildflower meadow, as we call it. It is bursting to life right now, and many of these gals had never walked through a native wildflower meadow, and so for them it was a first, and for me, of course, I loved sharing the beauty. They got to see so many different pollinators and just take it all in. And I apologize for the camera quality. I don't know what happened on my camera when I was filming. And that was the sort of difficult part about filming this for you all, is because I was trying to be a part of the party and be fully present, and yet it was such a fun thing that I wanted to make sure I captured it for all of you. So I hope you're going to enjoy this portion of the video, even though you can't see it. So, stay tuned to Garden Time with Belle, because I film monthly garden tours and I always take you through the pollinator habitat, and the video is much better than this video. And the final activity that I created for our time together was Pictionary. Those of you that have played Pictionary know how much fun it can be in groups. And of course, all of the clues were garden-related themes, either garden products, things in the garden, or garden activities. So for my final secret to hosting a beautiful garden party is to pick out some thoughtful party favors that send everybody home with a smile. And here you can see some beautiful zonal geraniums that I picked up at my local nursery. I potted them up in some of my terracotta pots that I like to whitewash with some chalk paint. I think I did a video on that, so you might want to check that out. In addition to these beautiful, happy geraniums, I sent everybody home with a packet of seeds from some Alpenglow zinnias that I grew last year in my garden. I dried those seeds, and I've been able to give these seed packets out to friends since last year. So that was another nice touch I thought they might enjoy. Well, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today as I got to share with you my 5 top secrets for hosting a beautiful garden party. I hope that today's video inspired you. I hope that you realize it doesn't have to be super expensive. Your garden doesn't have to be perfect. It's just an opportunity for you to get together with your friends and just enjoy some beauty and some laughs, some good food and drink. So until next time, I'm going to wish everybody out there happy gardening.